Namaste.
To this
Welcome.
week's Dharma Dialogues. As a continuation from last week, we're going to be talking about the 7 spiritual laws of success. If you missed last week's, you can go onto our YouTube channel where all of our Dharma Dialogues recordings live. But this week we're going to focus on the final 4 laws of success. And the first one, I think, is a really important one right now during this time of stillness. Is the law of least effort. What is the law of least effort?
The law. This can be a confusing one for many people, especially beginners to yogis and beginners to the spiritual path, because in our Western material world, or in our modern world, our science world, it's usually considered the more effort we put into something, the more successful we are, and that's true. That's actually true. Without putting any effort into something, you're not really going to get anywhere. So you have to work hard. You know, lazy people really don't get anywhere. But this is more, it's on 2 levels. At one level, the law of least effort says that you have to put the work into the inner world, into your inner journey. You have to raise your energy. You have to become a silent mind. You have to connect with nature. You have to be at one. And that takes effort. But it's a spiritual effort, it's a spiritual journey. And when you've gained some kind of mastery of that inner world and you're sitting there in control of your world, you're not at the mercy of the lower chakras and stress and anger and worry and fear and doubt and unknown, you feel comfortable in your world, then you're free to start manifesting in a powerful way. And that's where the least effort comes in. Because any kind of pushing or desiring powerfully or wanting or having an attachment to something simply kills the spell. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at that level, because what you're trying to do, you're trying to connect your unified field of intelligence, your microcosmic unified field of your soul nature, your own intelligence, with the unified field of all intelligence. And so you have to really settle down into a very quiet and silent place. You have to connect with nature, connect with yourself, connect with the unified field, and very slowly, very subtly put the intention into there. And that's the law of least effort at work. You're very, very quietly doing this work with no thought of the outcome, no attachment, no desires, no worries, no fears, no nothing. It's just pure least effort. But you have done the work. You've done the work to get to that place. You've done the work to convert yourself from material man to conscious man. You know? So that's it in a nutshell.
I mean, from my personal experience, I used to be a very goal-oriented person, and sometimes I would set a goal for myself, and it would take me years and years and all of my energy, and I really felt like I had to give my all to get it. And sometimes I would set a goal, and it would happen immediately. And is that because of something I'm doing? Is that Dharma? Is that just timing? Is that what does it mean that some things just happen easier than others?
It's the right time and place. It's synchronicity. If something happens almost like magically with no effort, you've just finally arrived at the right time, the right person in the right place at the right time, asking the right questions, putting the right intentions, and it just comes. And if it's a surprise to you all the time, you're doing it accidentally. You're not in control of it yet. The secret to the yogi is to do it consistently, to know the formula, and then to just sit in that silent place and put that request, that intention, into the unified field, stay conscious and awake for the outcome, the opportunity, and accept it gracefully and with humility. And you do it consistently, and you expect it to happen, and it will happen. Then you've gained a mastery, then you become the architect of your destiny. So you're right, most people at the beginning of this journey, it's hit and miss. Sometimes they put a lot of effort into something, it never materializes, they put a little bit of effort into something else, and it's just boom, it's there, on the plate, magic, just right time, right place. You've asked the right question at the right time, at the right energy level, because everything oscillates at a frequency, and it's up to us also, and this again is least effort. If you want to manifest something of a powerful nature, and its frequency is a very, very refined frequency. It's oscillating at a high frequency. It's pure, you know. Then you have to raise your frequency to a similar vibration in order to connect with it. So you can't be down in survival mode, 3 lower chakras, worried, stressed, fearful, anger, and all the other things that go with that, and be expecting gifts from God, you know, at a very high frequency. So it just won't connect. And you can put Herculean effort into it and it won't connect, you know. But you raise your frequency through the practices of yoga, you know, through good diet, nutrition, exercise, getting rid of the stress, meditation, all of the practices that we're always advocating. You raise your energy and then you're on the same plane. Then you're in the same frequency and then you just simply call it in. No effort. But obviously it takes work to get to that higher frequency, you know. So first we do have to put the work in. You can't become a lazy yogi. Right. You know, it's a great saying by one of the great Ashtangis, you know. It's like old people, young people can do yoga, fit people, unfit people can do yoga, healthy people, sick people can do yoga. The only people that can't do yoga are lazy people. Doesn't work. You have to get up, you have to put the work in. And it's when you put that effort in your practice, then it becomes effortless to manifest. So that's really what and you know, from that level, you have to have an attitude of love. You've got to come from an attitude of love. You've got to come from a defenseless place. There's no defending anything, not trying to prove your point. You're just available. You have to be in the present moment. You can't be anywhere else but in the present moment to make the law of least effort work. You have to be connected to nature. You have to become at oneness, you know. So it's defenselessness. It's coming from a place of love, at least the 4th chakra, you know, at least Anahata chakra, no lower than that. And you have to be there vibrating at the right frequency. And just feeling at one. And then that law of least effort just works for you magically. And you learn to cultivate that. You get skillful at replicating that whenever you need to. And you don't overuse it either. You don't go, oh, that worked, I'm going to do that 20 times tomorrow. You know, you ask the gods of goodness, you know, to help you manifest things, to put, you know, things on your path, on your journey that you need and that you'll use well and wisely when you're ready to receive the gifts. Not when you're just full of, you know, a needingness and a wantingness and a provingness. It doesn't work. So again, that's least effort. When you've got yourself to the place where you know what it is you want, and you know that what you're going to manifest, you're going to use well and wisely, you're going to serve. You're going to serve humanity in a very powerful way. Then you'll be given that, and then you ask to be included. You know, and the law of least effort will kick in, and like you said, it'll just come. It'll just come magically, almost seeming like without any effort. But you put the work in somewhere, for sure.
I think a lot about your story about how you started Island Yoga, the fact that it was never your intention, that you just kind of showed up here and it happened. Like, what was that experience like for you? Because I feel like that is a perfect example of least effort.
Absolutely,
but
absolutely.
A lot of work.
Yeah, and I reflected on that later. I mean, when I came here 12 years ago, I came as a vacationer. I was on vacation climbing, you know, rock climbing on Koh Yanoi. I came for 1 season. I fell in love with the island. I came for a 2nd season, but I was living in America. You know, I was a climbing guide. I was a yoga teacher. I had a green card. I was married to a woman at one time. I had property, everything, you know. And just being on this island on vacation, and I just recognised something very special, very magical, very mystical about Koh Yanoi, and especially this part of Koh Yanoi. And all of my attention came here. And I realised I didn't need to put any more energy into America and the West. It just became very obvious to me. And as soon as that became clear, this was just during a climbing trip, it became more and more clear. Then I made it my intention, while I was on a 1-month tourist visa, that I had to keep changing, I had to keep going to the border and renewing it. I said, well, I'm going to come and live in Asia. I'm going to make a commitment to come and live in Asia, in Thailand. I'm going to make a commitment to live in Koh Yanoi here, and I'm going to open a yoga school. And it just happened. It just all came together magically because I was in the right time, right person, right time, right place with the right idea, and it just happened. But I put 30 years of work in before that. You know, you don't see behind the scenes all of the 2 schools I had before that, and the work I did in Europe, and the work I had to do in America, and especially having 10 years in an ashram, or being part of an ashram for 10 years in America. That was my grounding. That was my education. That was my way of understanding how all of this stuff works. So by the time I arrived here, I was a reasonably accomplished yogi. And once an opportunity arose for me and a vision arose for me, then it was just, okay, call it in. I'm here now, and this is obviously the right place. Now we need to manifest the school, and it came together. And it's been like that. It really has. I mean, it's been hard work sometimes, but that's the law of least effort, and it's the law of intention at work. Yeah, and it's my karma.
I mean, it's interesting coming from America, and I'm sure you've experienced this in Western culture. Like, we value hard work, but I think to the point where it's an obsession.
Yes.
We put our self-worth into how productive we are, how many hours we work.
Yeah.
I mean, living in San Francisco, people would brag about, oh, I worked 14 hours yesterday, I worked 12 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
And for me, it's been this massive unlearning of that and realizing, you know, our productivity doesn't equal effort.
No.
What does it mean if the world is suddenly putting less effort into things, or do we need to be necessarily moving forward towards something all the time?
You know, the whole concept of achievement turns itself on its head once it takes a spiritual component. That's the difference. When you're trying to achieve something in the material world, it's often an ego gratification. Not always, but it can often be well, I've worked hard, I deserve it now, and I'm going to put more effort, and I'll get more of it, And behind that, and often it's a hidden ego, I'll be more important, and I'll certainly be more secure because I'll have more money, and I'll have more prestige, I'll have titles and things like I'll be a manager or a boss or whatever, So, or even in relationship, look, I'm finally a wife or a mother or a father or something, So there's often a lot of hidden egos, some very overt egos sometimes, and sometimes it's just a rapacious need for materialism. I want the Ferrari, I want the big house, I want the $1 million in the bank, And all of that is actually okay. There's nothing wrong with that, I mean, manifesting in the material world is fine. But there comes a point when it's not soul satisfying anymore. There comes a point in everybody's journey, not necessarily in this lifetime, but as you're evolving as a human being, as you're a spiritual being having a human experience on the earth plane, more and more and more, once you've been around that circuit of working hard, trying to make things manifest, and accumulating goods, but they're all material goods, nearly always, and you're associated by those, it becomes soulless. It doesn't have any value after a while. It's just, the more you do it, actually, the more it's like, well, I've just got to do more of this so that I can keep it going. It becomes like an addiction, like a craving, And if you're really lucky, and more and more people are obviously finding this now, you discover yoga or spiritual journey in some way, your consciousness opens and you realise almost like the pointlessness of it. You realise, well, it's good to have somewhere to live and it's good to have some money in the bank. There's no fun in being homeless and penniless. That's definitely overrated. So money in the bank and, a job and a purpose is good. But then you turn the whole thing on its head. And you have to go within. You have to do the inner work. This is the inner work. This is not least effort. You put a lot of effort into your yoga work. And that takes you to a higher vibration. It takes you to beyond the 60 to 70,000 thoughts, to that silent place. And it's really when you get there, when you get into states of deep meditation, contemplation, silence, you start to wake up to what really is important. What's real? What's necessary in my life? What is it that I really should be doing, my purpose, my Dharma? And the Dharma's going to come soon, And how can I make that manifest intention? And how can I process all of that without having to put all this work in again, the law of least effort? And that's the awakening, that's the journey of yoga, in a nutshell, for the modern person. It's this transition from being material man, and like we said last week, In material man, the harder you work and the more you're trying to achieve, you're working on cause and effect. You're causing something, producing an effect. When you become a yogi, you cause effect. You go deep within, and in that silent, powerful mind, you understand where it is you should be going, who you should be going with, and what it is you should be doing, and you powerfully call it in. You pay attention to it, you give it an intention, which your meditation has told you what to ask for, and you give it that intention, you sit there effortlessly, and it comes to you. And you take it, gift from God, with humility and grace. That's the law of least effort. Again, it's not doing the hard work. So, turn it completely on its head and it becomes spiritual.
And I think the funny thing about this path is that, at least for me, the more time I spend going inward, the more I realize that actually I don't need...
You don't need all that stuff.
all the things that I thought
exactly.
I needed. So,
yeah.
So whereas before I was always trying to manifest, always had these big goals, suddenly I'm finding, actually, none of those things even really matter that much.
The big goals become finding your purpose. The big goal becomes finding out who you really are at a soul level. The big goal becomes serving, because you know if you serve powerfully with your purpose, then you're going to have incredibly good karma. You're going to be in the right place, right person, right time, manifesting things, and life is going to be really exciting and fun. And it isn't going to be a lot of effort.
Right.
You know? So then life takes on a whole different meaning. It becomes really meaningful. You start to create, you become a very powerful creator without an ego attachment, you know, without the need to be somebody. So you become this beautiful person. You become this beautiful soul person who's quietly manifesting things and sharing it with everybody around you and creating an abundance in a win-win situation. And that's the whole difference between the material man and the mystical man.
I think now is the perfect time for it.
Now's the time to do it. Yeah.
Suddenly, all the things that we do associate with ourselves and our daily lives are being taken away from us. And I think, for me, it's meant that I've had to re-examine who I am without all of those things.
Yeah.
I think the universe, in a way, is going to...
That's the blessing. To me, that's the really great blessing of, you know, part of this has been tragic, but the other side, if you flip the coin, this is an amazing blessing, an amazing opportunity to change our habits, to change our old ways, to stop digging ourselves into an early grave and stressing and worrying and trying to be somebody special by being material man, but to really, the universe has cauterized us. You can't go out, you can't travel, you can't exhibit yourself, you can't try hard, you know? So you have to go within, you know, and there's this going within process that we've just explained. So to me, this is an amazing blessing. I mean, we're learning to be more creative, we're learning to, you know, cooking and finding different ways to do our yoga and to do art and to do whatever we do that's creative, you know.
Learning about who we are.
Of course we are. We go within, you know, and we're sharing with other people in a way that we've got time to share, you know, that we didn't have time before. And we're just discovering more about who we really are. And you know, and we've said this in other Dharma dialogues, the whole of the spiritual journey revolves around three basic premises. Who am I? What's my purpose? How can I serve? And all three of those will be covered just by this having to stay in. I mean, all three of those are covered in meditation constantly, and it never changes. It doesn't matter how high you go on the yoga journey.
Right.
You're still, who am I now? You know, you were here, and now you've raised your elevation or your vibration to a different level of yogi. You know, who am I now? And as that different level of yogi, okay, what's my purpose now? Because your purpose down here is different to your purpose once you're a little more elevated. So your purpose changes. And then how can I serve at this level? Because to give is to receive. It's the law of abundance from last week. So that never changes. And this is just the most brilliant time to buy this book or download it. I downloaded it on Kindle last week to remind myself again. And I must have read it a dozen times in the last 20 years. But you constantly remind yourself about these spiritual laws. Because the spiritual laws, and we said this last week in the introduction, these spiritual laws govern all behaviours in consciousness. If you're unconscious, 95% unconscious, most of the population, doesn't govern that. Doesn't matter. You're unconscious, your behaviour is almost like primitive and instinctual, and you're just doing things by habit, by rote, by, you know, just memory, conditioned behaviours. Once you become conscious, once you open to yoga and you become a yogi and your conscious expanding awareness, these kick in. And then you really pay attention, and the more you pay attention, the more successful you'll be in life. And that's why it's called the 7 spiritual laws of success. This is not material success. It can be material success, but this is spiritual success. You're becoming a yogi. You're becoming an amazing human being. You're becoming a light human being. You're becoming an inspired human being. That's successful in life, from our perspective. You know, and all the other things can then materialize. If you're supposed to have the Ferrari or the $1 million, it'll come. There's nothing wrong with it. And, you know, I mean, they built Ferraris and they're beautiful motor cars. $1 million is very cool, you know, but you don't work hard for it. If it's supposed to come and the $1 million come, you're like, thank you so much, and then you'll use it well and wisely, you know, and another million will come. And some of the great mystics, billions of dollars have gone through their hands, but they're not attached to it. They have a sense of detachment, and that's why they can have millions and billions of dollars going through them. Some of the really great mystics have just been conveyors of this huge amount of material abundance that they take and they say thank you so much, and they give it over here. So we're not attached.
So that's the effort. I know we've obviously been talking about intention a lot. And actually, if you go onto our YouTube channel, we have an entire Dharma dialogues on intention. What I find interesting about Deepak Chopra's interpretation of intention is his addition of desire.
Yes. Yeah, that's the difference.
Because in my experience, you know, you look at Buddhism, you look at all these spiritual paths, and desire is like a big no-no, like stay away from desire. So how can desire be a positive thing? Yeah,
again, I think that's part of the genius of the book. Most people, if you look on YouTube or you buy self-help books and they tell you about manifesting things, then they just talk about intention. But Deepak Chopra, spiritual master, recognizes that without an inherent desire for something, you're not going to ask for something. You have to have a desire to wake up. You have to have a desire to make a change. You have to have desire to see a better world, you know? So that's what he means by desire. It's not like this rapacious desire, you know, I desire cream cakes, and when I've had some, I want some more, you know, or more beer or whatever, you know. That's a material desire, or it's a less desire kind of thing. And that's what we're talking about in the material world. But here, desire wakes you up. It's the key that unlocks the creative juices to me. You're like, I want to change. I want to make this happen now. I want to create, say, another school, you know, or create a program or something like that. That's a desire, and that's really healthy. That's your creative processes starting to churn and wake up. And you acknowledge and recognize it as a healthy desire. I want to get fit and healthy. You know, I'm overweight, and I'm not overweight, but, you know, people are saying, have a desire to change your life for the better. You know, it's a positive, creative desire. And once that's awoken in you, you get excited, then you're like, how do I make this happen? Law of least effort, you start to become intentional. Then you call it in. And we went over intention a lot, so we won't go into it too much this week, but the intention, really the intention is, to me, is at the heart and soul of all yoga. It really is. It's like the 3 laws below and the 3 laws above this one, I think all relate more than anything else to intending things, to bringing things into your life. Because once you become a powerful yogi, you realize there's only being and then there's doing. You know, first you're being in silence, and then you do something, and that doing something is intentional. You know, and then you look at the consequences of that doing. You go back to being and you watch something happen, you know, and there's a karma to it, but we're not talking about that. So you become conscious of the impact that you put out into the world. And with intention, what you realize, and this is the most important thing to understand with intention, everything in the world at a quantum level, at a very basic level, is energy and information. It's got an energetic component, it's got a vibration, and it's got an intelligence. So everything at a quantum level is energy and information. And that's what we are. Right. So, and what we're looking towards in the highest yoga ideals is to connect with the unified field of all energy and information, the unified field of all possibility. And that's out there. And all of the potentials for everybody's dreams sit there in a potential form, but they're energy and information. Now the trick is to raise your energy, raise your vibration to such a frequency that you start to connect with that unified field at that level. And once you put your attention on that field, it starts to come towards you. And then as you're drawing that field towards you and you're coming towards it with your attention, then, because energy flows where your attention goes, so we really have to understand that, so we put our attention on it first, and then once we're connected to the unified field, we give it our intention. And that subtle giving, that least effort but powerful vibration of our thought form, what it is that we need to manifest, goes in and it makes a wave, it makes a vibration, it creates a resonance, and you have a coherence with it. And the unified field has to respond. It has to acknowledge, because it's intelligence and your intelligence, so it's having a conversation in some ways. You know, and the energetic match has to be right, your energy and its energy, and your intelligence and its intelligence. And this is what we're doing as yogis, we're bringing ourselves to that place. And we put it into the unified field and it acknowledges it, and it starts to send you back what it is that you want. And you only have to be awake to receive it. You stay awake, you stay conscious, and you recognize, that's what I've been asking for, that's what I've been trying to manifest, that's what I've been intending. And it comes and you take it. And again, you use it well and wisely. You take it with humility and grace, and namaste.
You know, it's interesting you bring up energy. From the little I know of Tai Chi and Qigong and these Qi practices and a lot of martial arts, it's this idea that you're using the force of the energy of the things coming at you and redirecting them.
Yes, it can be that.
It can be that. I mean, you're the Tai Chi teacher. But I'm curious, you know, it sounds like these are things that manifest on every level, like on the physical level, on the energetic level, on the mental, emotional level. How, I guess, when it comes to intention, how can we be redirecting energy? Or like, is this actually, is it the same thing? Is that
Chi is energy, chi is electricity, everything has electricity. Without its energy, everything would be flat and inert and dead, you know? So when we start the practice, say, of Tai Chi, but it's the same with yoga, you know, yoga develops energy, but we call it pranic energy, you know, more through breath work and physical exercise. With Tai Chi, it's more what we call chi energy, which is collecting, or it's merging your inherent chi, the chi that you get from your food and from your DNA, from your parents. We're merging that with environmental chi. So especially when we do Tai Chi in the morning at sunrise, we're pulling all the chi in from our environment, the rising sun and the tide and the pristine environment. All that's a very, very powerful energy field. So we're building our own energy field, our biomagnetic field. We're embellishing it, we're enhancing it with environmental chi. That's why we do it outside, often barefoot, at sunrise, at dawn, most powerful rising energy time. Now again, all of that environmental chi has an intelligence as well. And what we find is, or the highest Taoists will tell you, they get themselves into a place of union, of oneness, of connectedness, and they call it Kong, like King Kong, but they call it Kong. And they say, when you've achieved Kong, then there's nothing that you can't have. There's no power that can resist you, because you're at one with all of the inherent energy of the universe, which is fantastic, obviously. You know, you think of all the atomic energy. You're a part and parcel of that, but you're connected to it. But you have to connect to it with a surrender, with a detachment, with no ego. Because if you connect to it with ego, you'll connect to it at lower chakras, and it'll be ambitious and you'll misuse it. And you've seen tyrants misuse it, you know, and dictators misuse it, and you know, corporations misuse it, you know. So as an individual, you have to take that energy, and it often comes at lower energy. It can come at the low 3 chakra energies into your body. But as you do the practice of yoga, as you transmute that energy, and you bring it up to the middle chakra, just the middle chakra, the heart chakra, it transforms. Because the chakra system within the human being, within the human frame, within the human matrix, is a transforming system as well. So at the lower levels, you're in survival mode, and we know that. You're in survival and productive mode, and sexual mode, and creative mode. But once you take that same energy, that same biomagnetic field, and you bring it up to the heart center, it becomes compassionate, loving energy. It becomes magnanimous energy. You take it higher and it becomes articulate energy. You take it even higher, same energy, you just transmute it higher and it becomes inspirational, it becomes instinctual energy. You take it to the highest level, to the highest chakra, Sahasrara chakra, and you're connected to the unified field. And that's the practice of yoga. That's, in a sense, the whole that's Kundalini. That's the whole practice of bringing it in. It's tantric yoga. It's bringing it in and it's raising it up so that you're fully connected at every level. So you can connect at the survival level to make sure your bases are taken care of, the food's on the table, you know, and you've got enough material substance around you, and it's just enough, you know, you don't overdo that. And then we bring it to the heart level. And the heart level, and this is important to understand from intention and desire comes from the heart. It has the thought, it comes from the brain in a thought form, but the power, the real power, is the emotion that you put into it, the desire from your heart to have this thing manifest, you know. And they can do scans now. They can do scientific scans to show that the energy vortex that's created around the brain in a powerful thought form can come out about half a meter around the head. Yeah, that's a thought form, can have that much energy field around it. The one from the heart comes out about 3 meters. It's 100 times more powerful. It can be up to 100 times more powerful. 3 meters in every direction. It's a very powerful energy field from the heart center. It's not as intelligent as up here, but it's more powerful to push it out, you know. So in electricity, we have the watts and the volts, you know, and the watts are the juice of the electricity, but the volts are what push it out. You know, high voltage pushes electricity a long way. That's why we have high voltage power lines, you know, but they're pushing watts, which gives you the actual power to heat your oven or, you know, your cooker or whatever it is. So what we do, we have to come from our soul nature first, and we have to understand what it is we want to intend, and then we have to sync that very, very silently and quietly into the mind, and the mind produces an intention, and then we have to sync it into the heart as a desire, and it's that combination of the thought and the expression of emotion, positive emotion, creative emotion, pushing that out into the unified field. That's what makes it powerful. And it's the same catch net that brings it back in. We have to keep our heart open, and we have to keep our mind open for the opportunity to come back in. You know, we don't close down once we send it out. We stay open and we receive it back in. But if we haven't done the practice of yoga, if we haven't done the work of opening ourselves up and raising our vibration, then how can we do that manifestation at the higher level? So first we have to do that work, and now is the time. Again, we keep going back to it. Now's the time that we can do these practices every day. And in my mind, everybody that's sitting at home and is really confined mostly to their house or their apartment, they should be doing a dawn practice and a dusk practice every day. They really should, as well as watching their diet and doing more creative things and being more community oriented. But really do those practices now. Now's the time. When you go back to work, you won't have the time again. But if you develop the good habits now, they'll stay with you. You'll see the fruits of that labour, and you'll see the change that it'll make in your soul nature and in the way that you look at the world with an expanded mind. And you won't go back to the old ways. So it's beholden to us right now. Be here now and make the changes now. Start the yoga practices now. The breathing, the stretching, the meditations, the good diet, understanding nutrition, you know, getting up early, going to bed a bit early, inspired literature, inspired YouTube programs, all of this stuff. We've got the time, now's the time to do it. No excuses.
I think, and for those watching on Instagram Live, you're welcome to send any insights or questions that you may have as well. But I think what you said was a nice segue into detachment, which is the next law about this idea of staying open, right?
Yes.
Like, talk to me about what is detachment in that sense. You know, we set our intention, this is the thing that we want, and suddenly we're told, okay, now don't desire it, right?
Yeah, so it seems almost like paradoxical that first you want to manifest something and you've got a lot of desire and a lot of intention, and then you've got to let go of the need to have it. And you're like, you're kidding me. You're like, this is so counterintuitive that you put all this on. And this is material man. Material man goes after this thing with a lot of effort and a lot of desire and a lot of attachment, and is lusting after the end result. But he becomes myopic. He becomes myopic in his manifestation. It's like, I've got to have that, I've got to have that, I've got to have that. And often it ends up being the things that he wants, not the things he needs. You know? So he collects a lot of wants. Oh, I wanted this trophy wife, I wanted this big house, I wanted this nice car. And he collects them all because he's been very focused and intentional and uncompromising, you know, attached to the outcome. And they've come and they don't give him the satisfaction. They're not the highest ideals. They're not the greatest expression of universal intelligence. And that's what we're looking for. So at one level we say, let go of the need to be too specific on what it is you want to manifest. Leave the details to God. And it's a very famous saying. Make the intention, have the desire, put the intention out there, and then let go of the outcome. Don't play with the spell. Don't mess around with this beautiful spell that you've created. It's a magical spell. No, you know, don't get away from that. It's a magical spell. You're changing something in the universe. You're changing the structure of nature. But it's a positive magical spell. So you put it out there. It starts to come back. Don't mess around with it. It's a bit like putting seeds in the ground and they start to germinate and they start to have roots going down and you keep pulling them up. Are you still growing? Are you okay? You know, and you're killing the plant because you keep playing around with it, seeing if it's okay. So you have to have the confidence of your conviction. You have to put the intention out there, let go, completely let go of the need to have it in any specific way. You're not attached to the outcome, because if you're attached, you're controlling, and you're uncertain, and you're afraid. So you need to control, and you have to come from this warrior place of, I've got no problem going into the unknown. I live in the unknown. I live in the uncertainty. It's become my best friend. I put these intentions out there and I'm not attached to the outcome. If it manifests tomorrow, that's great. If it manifests next year, that's great. If it doesn't manifest at all, it's not supposed to be, because I'm trusting in the higher intelligence of the intelligent universe, of the unified field. God knows better than I do. But I am an aspect of God. You know, I'm in concert with God, I'm in cooperation, I am an aspect, but I'm a minor player in this when I'm starting to become intentional until I become a major player. So the law of detachment is the law of non-attachment. It means the same thing. You have to be detached from the outcome. You cannot be attached to how things are going to manifest. And then it's always a beautiful surprise. You know, it comes back and it's manifest and it's not quite what you imagined, but it's perfect. And it's always perfect because we live in a perfectly intelligent universe, you know. And if you view it any less than perfect, it's not that the gift is not perfect, it's your perception of it is not perfect, you know. That's another story. So really important, and it's a tough one for beginners to get. You know, they're like, well, I've got to be attached to it. And I'm like, no, you're not. You have to. And we have to constantly remind ourselves. I've got to say this, even I have to remind myself, you know. I put intentions out there and then I start feeding them, you know, and I'm like, let go of it now, David. No attachments. You have to be detached to this. And I constantly have to be conscious to be detached. Because I know if I'm not detached, it won't manifest properly. It might come in some kind of skewered way. It might come in a lower value way. I want the highest possible quality return on my investment of intention, you know. So I put it out there and then I let go of it, you know. And you can pulse it, you can pulse the intention, you can keep it going, you keep putting your focus on, maybe every evening and every meditation, and when you wake up in the morning you give it another pulse, 5 or 10 minutes of intention, and then you let it go. You don't keep disturbing it, you don't stress it by giving it your worry and your fear, because you're just killing the spell. So, in effect, this is good magic. You know, good magic is you put it out there, you give it a very pure and clear intention, and you let go of the need to have it manifest in any particular way. That's detachment. So you're not attached to the outcome. And then when you come, and this is not part of it, but it's so important, when the gift arrives, you have to receive it with grace and humility. And that's so important, because if you take it with ego, oh, that's mine, I deserve that, I worked hard for it, you won't get another chance. You'll be knocked back down the pecking order of the spiritual hierarchy, and you'll have to build yourself up again, because you didn't show humility and grace. It's with the humility and grace shows that you appreciate it, and you're going to use those gifts well and wisely. That's where humility and grace comes from. Thank you so much for giving me this, because I need to use it well and wisely out there in the world. I need to share this. I need to grow from it, and I need other people to grow from it as well. I need the universe to become a better place because of this gift I've been given. You know, anything less than that, and it's hard to manifest again. You know, the more grace, the more graciousness, the more humility you can bring into this equation, the faster the next manifestation becomes, and the more powerful you become. You know, Jesus said the meek inherit the earth, and it's so true. You don't want to be meek and humble, you know, in a weak way, but you want to be like very gracious and very grateful for the bounty and the gifts of the universe, and receive them with absolute humility. And there's so much power in that humility, because humility is the opposite of ego. If you have humility, you're just surrendered. And in surrender is the power. There's the spiritual power right there. With the other side, it's the ego, and that's your monster, your big I am person. You know. So receive with grace and humility.
You know, I don't know about people at home, but for me, I was always told growing up to set really specific goals, right? And I know for a lot of people, they have this idea of like, you know, I want to be in a romantic relationship. I want to get a raise at work. And for these types of goals, there's really only one outcome. If I want a raise at work, I'm either going to get a raise or not get a raise. So how do you stay unattached when the thing that you want, like it seems like there should really only be one potential outcome for it?
No, that's actually completely wrong. You have a specific intention, and you can narrow that intention down, and you can give very specific requirements, you know, but then you let go of it. You can say, I want the perfect romance, and, you know, say the man has to be 2 meters tall, he's got to have $3 million in the bank, he's got to have blonde hair and blue eyes, he's got to have an IQ, you know, capable of getting in Mensa, you know, and all this stuff, you know.
You're describing me perfectly.
Yeah, there you go. And you just met Daniel. Apart from the blonde hair and blue eyes. And all the other stuff. You can put that out there. There's nothing wrong with that. That's your imagination at work, you know. That's your creative juices flowing. Fine. Nothing wrong with that. Then you detach from it. You detach from the outcome. So you take it seriously at one level, that this is what your heart's desire is, and this is what you think is the best thing for you. And it's not coming from a need place. It's coming from, I think this will make me a better person, you know. So, and this is what I think will enhance my life. So you put that intention out there, and then you let go of it. And you let God handle the details, you know? And if a bald midget comes along who's penniless, and you fall in love with him, that's the perfect reply. You know? So you didn't get the 2 meter tall, blonde, blue-eyed millionaire, but you fell in love with a midget, and the midget was perfect for you. You know? So that's where detachment comes in. You have this very specific, you can have kind of nebulous kind of intentions, but the universe has got to read your mind then. So it is actually better to get clear on, you know, as best you can without too many details, because God's going to handle the details. It knows best, or the intelligent universe knows best. So you put it out there, you let go of the outcome. You just know it's going to manifest. No timeline on it, no specifics, you know, and you recognize when it comes back, you're like, oh, it's not what I imagined, but it's actually more perfect than I could ever wish for. That's usually what happens. So that's detachment, non-attachment, and getting past the specifics and the need to control the outcome of the intention. Because again, if you're being too specific and it's got to be that way, you're back in controlling mode again. Right. You're back in insecurity mode. You need to, what you're doing is you're saying, I need to stay in the known universe. And all of this stuff is walking into the unknown. You've got to get very comfortable and living in the unknown, living in an uncertainty until it becomes second nature to you. You're always walking into the unknown, and you're embracing the unknown constantly until it's just become, this is my world. I just live in the present moment. There is nothing else but this present moment, and every present moment is your gift. You're just always here, present.
From my personal experience, I would always set really big goals for myself, and then I would get them and realize that didn't actually make me happy, or
Right.
I don't feel fulfilled at all. In the last few years, I've actually had a practice of not setting goals for myself and just staying open to the universe. And I've found tremendous success, and I've had incredible experiences, and I find I'm like really kind of in awe of the world every day. But now I'm at this point where you keep talking about intentionality, and we've had so many personal conversations around intentionality, and I personally find it's really difficult to be fully unattached and fully intentional. So how do you find that balance?
That balance.
Is it okay to just be totally open? Because it sounds like you're saying be open.
Yeah.
And let go of control in that way.
Yeah.
But also be working towards something.
I don't see any conflict between those two. As long as you're working towards something in a whole way, that you're not being slavish towards it, and it's not something that you must have, kind of thing. So, to me, and also you find, and this underlies everything. The more you open your mind, the more conscious you become, the less attached you are anyway. You're just not attached. You realise that all of this attachment was from a constricted mind. It was from a limited perspective. It was from a fearful place. It was from the lower chakras. So the more meditation you do, the more yoga, the more Tai Chi, the more you open up, you're like, well, it's all okay. Everything's okay right now. What's the problem? And before you used to be going, well, unless I'm controlling all of this, then it's not going to work. And you're trying to play God, and we're not very good at playing God. We're instruments of God, we don't actually try and control everything. So the more that you do your practices, the meditations, the more you do let go and surrender. And it really, to me, the whole practice is the art of surrender. The whole practice of yoga is the art of surrender. It's letting go, and then letting go some more, and keep letting go. Keep letting go of your importance, of your need to control, of everything that's, part of the mind-body matrix. Just let it go and be. Just be in this present moment, but keep the energy up. Keep doing the work so that your vibration stays high, your mind stays open and constantly expanding, and you'll be guided. You'll be guided. You'll be shown which way to go, and you'll be shown how to behave, and you'll nurture and cultivate completely different habits, different ways of being in the world. And you'll go, well, I could never have figured that out with my mind. I would never have thought I could have done that transformation. But once you've started to expand mind, it just shows you where to go, and you just trust. And so you're constantly walking into the unknown. I mean, it is a journey into the unknown, but you just get so used to it until it becomes, if it's predictable, it's boring.
Right.
You're like, well, I know where that's going. I don't want to go there because I already know the outcome. So in the creative process, it has to have a mystery and an uncertainty to it, and a detachment.
Yeah.
That's why we have these laws. It's a very good question, because it brings into question the whole principle of the spiritual laws. Once you open to higher consciousness, you've got to be guided by these laws, because on one level they're common sense, but at a different level they're very counterintuitive to the intellectual mind. So you read the book and you go, oh, everything changes when you get spiritual, and it really does. Usually, material man and mystical man are polar opposites. They really are. And one isn't better than the other. I'm not saying one is better. It's so different. You're looking at the world from a completely different perspective when you become mystical man, when you become a yogi. And it's not a journey for everybody. Not the complete journey, but to me, it's the inevitable journey of the human soul walking planet Earth. We have to get onto a more mystical path at some time in one of our lifetimes. And if it's supposed to be in this lifetime, then we start to do the work now. We start to do the yoga and the meditation and the Tai Chi and cultivating more awareness, more present moment awareness, more consciousness, more compassion, more understanding, more intentionality, and starting to become the architect of our destiny. But you can't become the architect of your destiny until you let go of all the other stuff. So at one level, it's a process of, and also this is the letting go. People think, well, if I let go, I'm not going to have it,
Right.
you know. But honestly, you let go of the old stuff in your life, and the new stuff that comes from a higher consciousness is a much higher caliber, much higher quality. The friends are better quality. The material stuff you get is of a better quality. The information, the power you get is of a much higher quality. So sure, you've got to let go, and that's part of the process anyway. And it's a non-attachment. But the transformation, you realise, wow, I'm going into a much, much higher quality world, a more rarefied world. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a really nice transition into the last law,
Right.
the big one, Dharma.
One of the big ones, yeah.
I guess we kind of just talked about it, but what is Dharma?
Dharma's your purpose. Dharma's your purpose. It's your purpose in life. It's interesting that Deepak Chopra put Dharma at the end. So to him, in some ways, when you read the book, everything's leading, all of these spiritual laws are leading towards purpose. And I can agree with that. I can also say that I think it goes to the middle, to intention. So to me, the two most important aspects of the book are to understand the power of intention, attention and intention, or as he says, desire and intention. But equally important, and this is a question that you get asked a lot as a yoga teacher in classes with a lot of beginner yogis, and sometimes with advanced yogis as well. I can't find my purpose. What is my purpose in life? I'm here doing life and I have no idea what my purpose is. And some people are actually on purpose and they don't know it.
Yeah.
They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and they're looking out there for their purpose, and you listen to them and you hear the story and you go, well, you are actually on purpose. You're exhibiting all of your creative skills in a very powerful way to make your life wonderful. You know, you're traveling and you're connecting with amazing people and you're getting great work done, you know. Why are you looking for your purpose? You're living your purpose. So it's often creative people that find their purpose more fully, but Dharma is purpose, you know. So, and we say in mysticism, in yoga, that everybody has unique gifts. Every individual has a very special set of gifts. It can be one gift, it can be a multitude of gifts that they're that are unique to them and that they have to express in this lifetime, you know. And it's a crime not to express those gifts. If you deny your creativity, if you deny what it is that's unique and amazing about yourself, if you don't give it out there in the world, it'll become toxic. It'll destroy you. It'll start to contaminate you. So once you wake up, and this is part of the process of waking up as well, you become more conscious and you start to go within and you discover, who am I? Always the perpetual, perennial three. Who am I? Okay, this is who I am. And in discovering who you really are, you see those unique gifts. You see those unique talents that are just for you in this lifetime. And you've cultivated them through many lifetimes. They're not just imbued on you by some kind of magical spell. You've worked towards these gifts. It can be musical, it can be artistic, it can be, you know, environmental or whatever. It doesn't matter. It can be nursing or whatever. But you've got these unique gifts, and then it's beholden to you to start to use those gifts, to really exhibit those gifts in the world so that you become a better person, more productive, more creative, and the world gains by those gifts as well. And that's Dharma. That's Dharma at work. So you find your purpose and you follow your purpose. Find your purpose, follow your purpose. And your Dharma can change through a whole lifetime. It can change many times. It's an evolutionary journey. Just because you're good at something when you're 16, it doesn't mean you should be doing the same thing when you're 60. So you find, some people are very lucky, they find their purpose. It might be design or music when they're very young, but it doesn't mean that that's their purpose their whole lifetime. As their mind keeps opening and they stay on the yoga journey, the consciousness journey, that purpose can go all over, or can become multi-purpose, and it's very beautiful. So Dharma is really important. But when you've finally found your purpose, then it becomes the ultimate one. You know who you are, who am I, you found your purpose, you know, your Dharma, what's my purpose in life, and then you have to say, okay, how can I use this for the fulfillment of my destiny and my highest accomplishments, and for the betterment of humanity. you know, service. How can I serve? And that's all wrapped up in Dharma. Who am I? What's my purpose? That's the central theme of it. How can I serve through this purpose? I mean, an amazing musician will practice and practice and practice, and then when they get really competent, you know, with their instrument, then they go and perform, and it gives them great joy, and it gives the audience great joy. You become a great violinist, or you know, a guitarist, or a singer, you know. So that's their purpose. Their purpose is to express themselves magnificently through music, or even writing music, you know. And it gives great joy to everybody else. You're serving humanity. You're lifting the vibration of humanity through beautiful music, beautiful composition, or whatever. It can be, you know, it can be any kind of. Doesn't matter. It can be being an amazing mother. You know, it can be the refuge collector. What's your purpose? Well, I empty the dustbins. I go and collect the trash. Somebody's got, and I love doing it. You know, I'm not talking about myself, but that's a purpose. You can get somebody, and I love getting out of bed, and I get my overalls on, and I get on that car, and I go on the refuge round every day. You know, and I feel good for it, and that's just perfectly okay. So there's no hierarchy to this either. There's not like, oh no, I'm the conductor of the, you know, the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. So purpose is purpose, but you have to find your purpose. That's why he's put it at the end, and you have to serve with that purpose.
It's like in that famous book Siddhartha, how he reaches enlightenment when he becomes the ferry operator.
Yeah, exactly.
This sense of simplicity,
yeah.
but also this idea that every one of us, just by being here, is somehow contributing to the, or can be contributing to the betterment of the world.
Of course it is.
Even the smallest actions.
Yes, yeah. I mean, just to close on this, we're running out of time now, I think, but just to close on this, we know as yogis, the more that you put a higher vibration into the unified field of all intelligence, the more that everybody else has got to understand about. You're giving more intelligence to everybody. And the more that you close yourself down and that you don't put anything in, the more that you're degrading that unified field. So it's beholden to us ultimately to put as much as we can into the unified field in a creative and positive way, because there's more to share for everybody else, and that's serving. That could be just your purpose. You could be an amazing yogi that's just giving these words of wisdom, this inspiration out, and it's raising people's energy, raising their hopes, raising their faith and their possibilities, you know, and their vision for the future. That's a purpose, and you've put more quality into the unified field for everybody else to tap into, because whatever you put in there is open to everybody. It's like putting things into the Google, you know, and then other people can access that information. It's exactly the same. But if you put lower grade quality in, if you put hate and, you know, disharmony and misinformation, fake news and all that kind of stuff, you know, that also goes into the unified field, but it lowers the vibration of everything and it brings everybody down. So as yogis, as conscious human beings, and understand this now, it's very bad karma, one of the spiritual laws, to put something of a negative component out there into the universe. It's extremely good karma and good for your purpose and good for your dharma to put high energy out into there. It's good for you and good for everybody else.
So just by watching this, you're helping to uplift the world by
exactly.
uplifting yourself.
Yeah. We live in a fully interconnected universe. You know, there's nothing that's outside of this interconnection. So every thought, every action, every emotion that's positive and creative goes towards making a better world. And that's our purpose in life, isn't it? That's our dharma.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Like I said, all of these are going to live on our YouTube channel, so subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any suggestions or recommendations or things you would like to see us discuss,
yeah, feedback is good.
You can leave that in the comments, any feedback you have. Otherwise, we'll see you next week at the same time.
Okay.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Namaste.